Good day everyone. So in this video I'm going to tackle about the examples of correlational research and descriptive research. But before that, let me introduce to you our lesson objectives. At the end of the lesson, the student should be able to determine correlational research examples and when to use correlational research. So we have here three types of correlational research. First, we have the positive correlation. So positive correlation means that when an increase in one variable leads to a rise in the other variable, a decrease in one variable will see a reduction in the other variables. So in positive correlation, it is a relationship between two variables, where if one variable increases, the other one also increases. It also exists if one decreases and the other also decreases. Like for example, the amount of money a person has might positively correlate with the number of cars the person owns. So it is basically a positive correlation because the amount of money and the number of cars is a positive correlation with each other. Because if you have a lot of money, you can probably have many cars, have that number of cars. Other examples: high school students who had high grades also had high scores on the sets. So in here we've noticed that both variables are increasing, the high grades and high scores. Next, as attendance at school drops, so does achievement. So here both variables are decreasing. Attendance at school drops and achievement also drops. Then third, as a student's study time increases, so does his test average. So here both variables are increasing, the study time and the test average. So if we have the positive correlation, we also have the negative correlation. So it is literally opposite to the positive relationship. So it means that there is an inverse relationship between two variables. When one variable decreases, the other also increases, and vice versa. Like for example, being educated might negatively correlate with the crime rate when an increase in one variable leads to a decrease in another, and vice versa. If the level of education in a country is improved, it can lower crime rates. So with this, it is basically an example of a negative correlation between because education or being educated is a negative correlation with the number of crime rates a country has. Other examples: when the price of a product increases, its demands will decrease. So we have here the keywords increases and decrease. Then, the more one smokes cigarettes, the fewer years he or she will have to live. And last, the more vitamin one takes, the less likely one is to have a deficiency. So, uh, there is a inverse relationship between the two variables. Vitamin one takes and less likely to have a deficiency. So it is increasing and decrease. So the third type is we have the zero or no correlation. So it means that there is no correlation between the two variables. A change in one variable may not necessarily see a difference in the other variable. So like for example, being a millionaire and happiness is not correlated. An increase in money doesn't lead to happiness. So being a millionaire or being rich is not a guarantee for an individual to be happy or to have a joyful life, because sometimes there are less fortunate people who are already contented and comfortable of the life they have, even though they are not wealthy or they cannot easily buy the things they want and especially need. Then, other examples: the nicer you treat your employees, the higher their pay will be. So, in here, it is a zero or no correlation because your treatment or your attitude towards your employees is not the basis for you to give them higher pay or higher salary. Then, third, the wealthier you are, the happier you'll be. So, it is likewise to the first example I've shown you earlier. And so, that's all the examples of the correlational research. So let's move on to the examples of descriptive research. So at the end of the lesson, the student should be able to understand descriptive research and determine what are the descriptive research examples. So, examples of descriptive research. So first, a specialty food group launching a new range of barbecue rubs would like to understand what flavors of rubs are favored by different people. To understand the preferred flavor profiling, they conduct this type of research study using various methods in supermarkets. So it is a descriptive research. Another example of where this research can be used is if a school district wishes to evaluate teachers' attitudes about using technology in the classroom. So that's some of the examples of the descriptive research. So when we say descriptive research, it is defined as a research method that describes the characteristics of the population or phenomenon studied. This methodology focuses more on the what of the research subject than the why of the research subject. So in here, both examples are referring to the what of the research. Then other examples, such as comparing student performance. This can be an example of descriptive. Scientific classification and the human behavior. So when we say descriptive research, so it primarily focuses on describing the nature of a demographic segment. So without focusing on the why a particular phenomenon occurs. So in other words, it describes the subject of the research without covering why it happens. So that would be all. So those are the examples of the correlational and the descriptive research.